Hello, everybody. Suzanne Kellner-Zinck from Diamond Visions Hypnosis here to talk to you about why some clients would choose to see a hypnotist or a neuro-linguistic programmer, given all of the choices out there. And there's a myriad of reasons to tell you the actual truth. First would be the more obvious ones where they were not getting the results that they would like to get. I've seen, even after sometimes decades of therapy. Yes, indeed. I've had clients who've been in therapy for decades, sometimes with the same person, sometimes with a few different people, and they never were able to let go of the problems that they went to go see these providers to be released from. Secondly, I've had a few psych nurses come to see me for different reasons. The first group are psych nurses who got into drug addiction habits, and they needed to get help to get off their drugs and to get their lives back. I had one who unfortunately ended up in jail because she couldn't stay away from the drugs, even though she was on Suboxone, which tells you about how good it is to take one medication, replace it with another. I would suggest to you it's best to actually get off of all drugs and not be dependent on any of them. However, I no longer work with drug addicts. It's not my thing. I've also had psych nurses come in to see me, well, actually bring their kids in to see me. One was joking about the fact that her kid was hiding all of his anti-anxiety medications all over the living room and his bedroom, and he wasn't taking them, so she decided to try hypnosis, and it was a matter of a few sessions and the anxiety was gone. Kids are great because they're already in the hypnotic state up until 25, 26 years of age. So if they're willing to do the work, they can be rid of their problems in most cases. I also had a social worker come to me who needed to lose weight. We like to say release weight in the world of hypnotism. In her case, she had to do it all based on diet, in which case, most of the time, it's through diet that weight loss happens. It's not through exercise, particularly. But she had a problem because she really couldn't do any exercise because she had, sadly, a degenerative bone disease. So it took about a year for her to let go of the 70 pounds that she needed to release, but it was done successfully. And then the most interesting and intriguing of medical professionals who have come in to see me over the many years was an insomniac anesthesiologist. Kind of an oxymoron. The guy gets paid to put people to sleep, quite literally, right? And he couldn't sleep himself. And in his case, he had 3 different medical specializations. He had gone through 3 different residencies, and his body just wasn't willing to stay asleep because he'd been awakened so many times during the residencies. So we were able to clear that out in a session with one follow-up. So those are some of the intriguing people, but there's other reasons that people come to see me as well. And a lot of the times it has to do with the fact that they don't want to have a stigmatized label after their name. And I'll tell you right here, right now, that at least 85 to 90% of the people who get these stigmatizing labels shouldn't have these labels. Not really. Because as far as I know from my almost 25 years in the world of hypnotism, it's really a matter of emotional traumas that cause the different symptoms that people feel as a result of their past history, if you will. And once we're able to clear those out and help them do the forgiveness work and heal their inner children, that would be the age of the child they were at when these hard events occurred, and couple that with a compelling future, something that's more important to them than holding on to whatever secondary gain they get from being ill. Because, if you have problems, sometimes people will say, well, people have to dance around me because, I'm really sensitive. Or they'll decide that they don't have to do the things that all the rest of us have to do to earn a living and to live in this world. They're able to be healed and have really wonderful lives. Even people who have come to me who have had incontractable depression, we have found out how to help them. And sometimes it's not always an emotional problem. It just looks like an emotional problem. And this is one of the things I do really hard education on, regarding the fact that our emotional looking problems, symptoms, may actually be something like a hormonal imbalance, like with the thyroid being slowed down, or other types of issues like having mold poisoning or having a malnutrition because our bodies are not able to metabolize, most especially the amino acids and perhaps B12 that help us with the neurotransmitters that allow for, shall we say, great feelings. We'd call that regulation of emotion and clarity of thinking, which are very important. And unfortunately, many times when people are placed on psychotropic drugs, those used for mental illness, they find that they have both of these problems. So that's not such a great thing. So a lot of people want to go off of their drugs, and they find it really hard to do that because the psychiatrist or the prescribing person worries very much about what might happen if they go off those drugs. However, people can have a lot of very bad side effects from these drugs above and beyond those problems. In fact, I had one client who came to see me who got off all her drugs before she actually started working with me, but she told me this really sad story about not even being able to stand long enough to do her own dishes, and it was a side effect from one of the medications she was on. And she very slowly titrated herself off of it because she couldn't get any of the psychiatrist that she was working with at the time to help her do that, which is pretty pathetic when you think about it. So these are some of the reasons that people will come to see a hypnotist and neuro-linguistic programmer. Neuro-linguistic programming is a form of hypnosis. We are accessing the subconscious mind, which is the amygdala, where our emotions are held in our very imperfect memories in the hippocampus. And when I do my work, I like to take away actually the subconscious mind. I learned this from one of my very first clients, that she didn't do very well hypnosis unless I brought her into her superconscious mind, Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, which is really our connection with spirituality. And it doesn't really matter what one's beliefs are. We meet the person where they're at. So if it's God, Jesus, Allah, universe, nature, whatever it is for that person, we just bring them up to their higher conscious with a simple suggestion, and we get the subconscious mind out of the way, and they can more easily do the techniques to help them to release their problems. And that's another thing I'd like to explain. Although I use scripts sometimes to reinforce things like eating better or having a better sense of self-esteem, things of this nature, most of the work that I do has to do with the clients processing the information, and we do a lot of dialogues, or I'll give them something that they need to do in their subconscious mind in terms of reframing what they're thinking so that they can heal in that way. So it's very much self-directed, and that's what you need to know. Hypnotists and NLP people are not here to direct you. We're here to help you figure out your own solutions to your own problems. One of the things that we're taught is that our clients come to us because they don't have any solutions, stuck with no options. And we're here to help them find the options that will work best for themselves using their subconscious mind, which is very miraculous in how it can help a person to heal and move on, helping them to create what they want for their futures after we help them let go of the problems that were bringing them into our office in the first place. So I hope that has helped to explain some of the more important aspects of hypnotism and neuro-linguistic programming, so you can get the mythologies out of your brain, sadly brought forth by Hollywood and mental health providers who have never studied it, so therefore they have no understanding of what it is. And my mission is to get them educated so they can actually help their patients heal and move on with life, because most people do not want to be figuratively married to a therapist for the rest of their lives or taking toxic drugs for the rest of their lives either. As always, I thank you for spending your time with me. Till next time. Bye-bye.